Welcome into SportBet Extra. I'm your host, Paul Rami, here every Monday through Thursday, 6 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Central. We are excited today for this show, March 5th, 2026. It's a Thursday, heading into the weekend. We got a great show, going to recap yesterday's plays, talk a little bit of that overall record, bring on our special guest joining us on Thursday now to talk some soccer. Look, I'll be honest, I'm not the soccer guy. I don't know much. I don't keep up with it. We've got someone on board who's really going to dive into it and get into all the details and give you guys some great analysis there. So I'll stick to the college basketball, NBA, things that, we really like to focus on here and let them take it away with soccer. First we'll talk typical college basketball, maybe touch on NBA. We'll see how much time we've got. And then again, hand it over to Casey, who's joining us for our soccer talk there. So great day today. Let's just go ahead and get the show started right away. We'll pull up the overall record. Not much of a difference. Only plus 0.05 units yesterday. We go 2-2. Gave out St. Joe's money line plus 125. That helps us out. We lost a little bit to the juice on the other two plays, but ended up 0.05 positive units on the day yesterday. So $5 there for your $100 better. Nice little easy day there. So plus 41.63 units. Since October, we are continuing to track everything every single day. So St. Joe's money line was the winner. Florida money line there as well, winner. Wow, that one was close. Big lead, and they almost lost it there at the end. Just crazy how that one turned out. DePaul plus 2.5 was no good. SMU minus 1.5 never really had a chance there against Miami. So 2-2 yesterday. That's the way it goes. Today we've got, we may have quite a few plays today. Already some games underway that we're looking at. Keep a lookout for Robert Morris. We talked about them at that +2. I can't remember exactly what the number is. I've got to pull it up. That number with Robert Morris to win the conference there championship. So let's keep hoping that they can pull through. But here's where we're at currently. Let's get into real quick a few of the games today. I know we've got some action that's already started. Drake and Southern Illinois underway right now, 48-48 with under 8 minutes to go there in the game. Hey, my live bet, Southern Illinois just went down 3 there, so that might be a nice one that we can live bet and get in on there, but that's not going to be in time for this show. Sun Belt Championship, I want to bring that up, the bracket here, because when we look at these, it's not your typical bracket that you see. It's nice to be a number 1 or number 2 seed here. You're just kind of in the back waiting, and that's got to be a great feeling when you really only got to win, a couple games to win it all. So right now, JMU Southern Miss just tipped off there. I know JMU was a slight favorite, minus 1.5. I wouldn't be on this either way. For this conference, though, it would be really Troy or nothing for me on this one. I know they're the number 1 seed going into this. Just a better team overall than most of them here. I mean, defensively, they're pretty solid, right? Turnovers can be an issue. We get that. But other than that, the free throw shooting is decent. They can kind of hit some threes there. I mean, the pace is pretty slow. They're going to want to always control the game. Field goal percentage not the greatest, but they've got probably the best chance to win this conference here. But again, one that I kind of like that's just hanging out there. Let me see if I can kind of pull up what their odds are at. Again, we're using Kalshi here for our conference tournament odds. So let me pull up on Kalshi what they've got there currently for the Sun Belt Conference. We're looking at South Alabama. And when we go down into the Sun Belt, that's a 19-1 number there for South Alabama. Troy's a plus 203, still nice, plus money there, right? Great money. But man, if you really want to take a chance, I would go with South Alabama plus 1900 there. Right, they've just got to win against this next game, whoever they're playing against, either Arkansas State or Southern. And then after that, if they can beat Coastal Carolina and then Marshall, then they've got a real good shot there. So I like South Alabama 19-1. Probably not going to be playing that one here, but it would just be a nice, big underdog to take. Or you go with a little bit of safer bet. Troy, I'm not saying that's the safe bet, but a little bit safer. The plus 203 number with Troy might be a way to look at in this tournament. But we love it. There's so many tournaments. We're not even going to have time to get into all of them. I wish we did. Maybe we'll do a Saturday or so or something like that where we can just cover every single tournament going on. But we just got to kind of pick and choose our spots there. Let's get out of this one here and just kind of talk about a few of the other games going on. Now, at this point of the season, we're not going to go too much into betting these teams that are playing maybe the last game of the regular season. Don't want to spend too much time. A lot of them are already kind of gearing up for their conference tournaments. So we don't want to take a lot of the, risk with those. Are they going to really show up for these games? What's this last game really going to mean for them to end the season? We're not going to dive too much into those. We'll probably get more just into the conference tournaments. Like one here I am liking. I know defensively this team is not very solid, but Boston against American here in the Patriot League. Look, Boston laying a small number, -1.5 there. They can shoot the three. If they're on, they will be difficult to defend. If they're hitting those threes, they can hit free throws. But if they're hitting those threes, they're going to be lights out. So defensively, American, they're solid. They're not the best team defensively. So Boston should be able to beat them. I mean, they just beat them 68-65 when they played them on Saturday. Again, we know how these things work, right? They lost to them earlier in the season, 64-62. Then they win 68-65. What are you going to get? It's kind of going to be a toss-up. I would lean Boston here -1.5 or -120 if you want to just take a money line. But I like Boston here to make it out of this quarterfinal round in the Patriot League. Colgate Loyola, not going to be anywhere on that game. There's other ones we can look at. Lehigh, Holy Cross as well. Probably going to be off of those when we're looking at the Patriot League. Navy, I wouldn't even bother laying the points with them against Bucknell. I mean, they should have no problem covering that 14.5. But, there's other things that we can find some better value in there. So let's get down to a few others. I kind of want to talk one that's not a conference tournament, but obviously a big game tonight. Number 3, Michigan at Iowa. They're laying the 8.5 number against Iowa. Currently 27-2 record. Of course, the only loss there was to Duke and Wisconsin. Since then, they beat Minnesota at home, went on the road to beat Illinois in really convincing fashion. Iowa 20-9 record there. They've been that same sort of Jekyll and Hyde team, right? When they go on scoring runs, they look great. When they can't score, they really don't do much. That's a tough loss at Penn State that they just had. Penn State's not a good team. And now you've got Michigan. I understand you're back at home. You've got Michigan. This is not one I would bet on Iowa. I mean, defensively, Michigan is just going to really be difficult for Iowa to handle, especially just as well on the offensive side, man. Michigan just moves the ball. One of the top assisting teams in the nation. They shoot the three. They have that quick pace. Iowa, I think they're going to struggle here. I would lean Michigan -8.5 on this one. Probably not going to actually play it, but that's the way I would lean for this one if you want to get into some of that Big Ten action with one of these games that kind of does matter. Looking at a few others, Western Kentucky against Missouri State there. Western Kentucky won earlier in the season, 87-72, blew them out there. Missouri State only a 1.5 point underdog here today at home against this team. Now, Missouri State, they've lost 7 games in a row, only 1.5 point underdog. doesn't make too much sense. Again, this is one of those. Maybe you take Missouri State. I'm just not convinced on this team, Missouri State, right now with that 1.5. So this will be one we stay off of. It fits a little bit of the system as far as college basketball betting, just taking the 1-1 teams, having Missouri State win here outright. But just the way they're playing, I wouldn't have very much confidence in them there. Going into a little bit of the later games, there's a lot that really aren't that fun to watch. I mean, Prairie View, Texas Southern, Howard, Norfolk State, Grambling State, Alabama State. I mean, these are really bottom of the barrel teams and conferences we're really not going to get into. I do want to jump into the MAC tournament there. Manhattan at Fairfield. We know Fairfield's pretty solid, 19-12 their record against Manhattan. Look, when these two teams played, Fairfield won convincingly. They lost the first one, but that was way back in December against Manhattan, and they came back and they beat them early January, 98-62, complete blowout. Fairfield, as of late, they've played better, but that last game, they've really got to bounce back from that last game. That was an embarrassing loss that they had against Mount St. Mary's, and Mount St. Mary's is not a very good team. Fairfield really just could not hit their threes, going 5 for 20, only 25%. Really struggled there from three. Turnovers were kind of an issue too, not getting, and they were just allowing so many points in the paint. If the free throws continue to be an issue, Manhattan may have the advantage here. Rebounding wise, Fairfield's got the advantage, and again, defensively, that's a tough one though. That 4.5 points, I probably lean Manhattan to cover that 4.5. But again, there's other games right now that we can look at taking that we can probably find some better value in. WCC tournament, we're really not going to talk much about that one. Gonzaga to win there, probably. I think they're minus 200 as a favorite to win that one. So we're just going to completely pass on that tournament. I'm a big Santa Clara fan, though. So if you like Santa Clara and think they've got a chance, that would be a fun one to get involved in. I know they're down there in the I think in the double digits. I gotta find this one here, because the Western Conference, it's just Gonzaga or nothing really there. So do we want to go another direction? Do we want to just go ahead and ride with Gonzaga? Probably not. I'm gonna wait to bet anything on this tournament or these teams once we get into the actual tournament there. Gonzaga is going to be one I talked about in the beginning of the season. Look, this is a team that I come bracket time here in the next couple of weeks. They've got to get things together and they can make a deep run. Usually I don't say that against with Gonzaga. I'm usually kind of on the fence with Gonzaga there, but they've got the players. They've got the skills to make a deep run this year. It's really going to depend on the bracket, where they land in that bracket, what seed. That's really going to be a big part of how they're going to perform this year compared to years past. Years past didn't really matter. Whichever bracket they're in, they're usually going to do pretty well. But this one, is one we've got to kind of look at and see how that bracket is going to unfold for Gonzaga there. So not really going to get too much into that one. Neither with the Summit League, OVC. I mean, Lindenwood here against Southeast Missouri State. I'm a big fan of Lindenwood. Talked about them a lot. Nice win against Little Rock, but probably not going to take them here against SEMO. Just not wanting to get involved with this one here. If I were to go anywhere, it'd be Lindenwood or nothing. My probably on the money line. But again, I don't want to get involved with this team here. Late night, San Diego, Loyola Marymount, pass on that one. And then you've always got some Hawaii fun late night at 11 o'clock. Probably not going to get involved with that one either. So really in college basketball, only way I'd be leaning that I like is Michigan there laying the 8.5 into some other, again, tournaments, Patriot League, like Boston there minus the 1.5. That may be the way we go. There's not really a lot that's, again, intriguing right now. I know this tomorrow and the weekend. We're going to have a lot of great games as well. But look, let's just jump into the NBA real quick while we still have a little bit of time, and then we'll give out that free play for college basketball. Mavericks at the Magic. Their Magic lane is 7.5 number. Yeah, just going to not be anywhere on this game. I would take Magic on this one. We got a battle for the tanking teams, which is great. Jazz at the Wizards there. I mean, who wants it less? Not who wants it more. Who wants it less is the question. Jazz there or Wizards. I mean, Wizards 4.5-point favorite. Look, for this game, I would not be laying any points. It's just going to be underdog or nothing. You're just going to take a team to cover here. There's no reason to lay points with these guys here. So Jazz at Wizards. Yeah, I would take Jazz plus 4.5 there. Nets at Heat. Don't want to get involved with that. Heat minus 12.5 points. Just past. Warriors at Rockets. Rockets laying the 9.5 number here. No Steph Curry still. Just going to pass on this one. Pistons at the Spurs. Look, this is a revenge spot for the Pistons. We were on the Spurs the last game when the Spurs won there on the road at Detroit. Now Detroit travels to San Antonio just a couple weeks later. I would be on Detroit here as kind of one of a revenge spot. Look, plus 3.5 is not a lot. I would take the money line here, plus 130. Injury-wise, I mean, there's nothing on Detroit's side. San Antonio's side, not really enough to make a difference, right? Harrison Barnes, that's not going to make a difference or move the line at all. I'd be on Detroit here, that plus around 130, around that number. That's just the way I would lean. It feels like it's a spot for Detroit to kind of get right? They had some nice wins of late. They beat the Thunder, beat the Cavs, and they lost to the Cavs. Tuesday on the road. One more road game before they head back home to play the Nets, so it's not really like they're looking ahead. They're going to be up for this game. I would lean Pistons money line here. Again, about plus 130 is the number we can see. So the rest, Raptors at Timberwolves. Look, the Raptors, man, they're underrated still. Brandon Ingram, still questionable. Not sure if he's going to be able to go. But look, I've talked about as long as RJ Barrett is there, this is a bet on team for Toronto. I like them here with this number, and it's around a plus 5.5. I would lean Toronto, bounce back from that Knicks loss there. I mean, they've been struggling a little bit as of late. Of course, they've had tougher matchups against the Thunder and the Spurs. A nice, easy win against the Wizards, and against the Knicks, of course, another tough matchup there. I would like them here. I know it's on the road. They just lost to Minnesota again a few weeks back. So I would lean Toronto here, that plus 5.5 number, if I was having to go anyway in the NBA. Not going to talk much about the rest. Let's just go ahead and get right into the free play, and then I'm going to turn it over to Casey. That way we can get some soccer stuff in there for you guys. So free play for tonight, tip off in about 20 minutes. We're going to go Boston there, minus 1.5. Again, all the odds I'm using are Profit X. Use code Paul Rami there, get you a 20% purchase match up to $100. So let's go through Profit X, see what type of number we're getting for Boston here. We can get that minus 1.5 at a minus 105. So that's where we're going to be. That's what we're locking in. Let me get that number in before we turn it on over. So Boston minus 1.5, and then a minus 105 number there. That's the free play for today in college basketball. Thank you guys for sticking around. We've got some great soccer tent coming up. I'm going to go ahead and bring on KC to get you guys going with some soccer. Welcome, my friend KC, to the stage.
Yeah, Paul. Yeah, thank you so much. Thanks for the warm welcome. And while you were making all those calls, one of the things I picked is you saying, don't go to this place, don't look at this team. And it is so funny because when it comes to football, I mean, soccer, football, whatever they choose to call it, but when you come to this stage, there are so many teams you will look at. Today, you are looking at them and you know that don't go to this area, don't touch them. And it's so ironic because before I stepped on stage, we just finished watching a game between a team you consider to be the big six historically. When it comes to the English Premier League, you have one of the big six in Tottenham Hotspur. Now, currently, they just finished playing against Crystal Palace that is facing a whole lot of issues. Crystal Palace just sacked, like their manager, everybody knows that he's getting sacked by the end of the season. Halfway through the season, they lost one of their best defenders, that is Maguire, and their best striker is saying that he wants to move on. He wants to transfer from the English Premier League to the Italian league. So a whole lot of things are going wrong in the club. Yet they met Tottenham today, which is supposed to be an easy win for Tottenham. But Tottenham, first of all, picked up a red card. Now, when it comes to football, a game of 11 players on each side of the team, picking up a red card is very dangerous because the moment you pick a red card, you lose one player. Then you are playing with 10 against 11, and you can hardly get a win out of it. So that is what we saw today. Tottenham Hotspur, they lost again. And it is funny because throughout this season, Tottenham is yet to win any game in the Premier League this season. So yeah, there are so many teams like that, and we'll be mentioning them as we go on. And these things changes. It changes because in game week 10, Tottenham Hotspur may be a team to avoid. But 3 weeks later, they could be a team that you look at and you are sure that yes, you are getting something out of them. It's all part of the journey. It's all part of the adventure. And for this particular discussion, there are just so many games to look into. When it comes to football, it is very global. We'll be highlighting games from the top leagues, the top 5 leagues in Europe. We have one of the Major League Soccer in America. We have the leagues going on in Saudi Arabia where Cristiano Ronaldo is playing. So with all of this going on, we are basically spoiled for choice. And we are spoiled for choice every single day. There is so much to work on every single day. But for the sake of this discussion, we highlighted a couple of games that our viewers would surely be interested in watching because that's always the first part. If you are going to put your money there, it should be a game that you know you would be happy to sit through it and watch it. And we'll be able to just run through a couple of them before we wrap up. Now, the first game we are looking at is over to the Spanish League. In the Spanish League, the highest league in Spain, we have a game between Celta Vigo and Real Madrid. That is over there in the Spanish La Liga. Now, Real Madrid is sitting in second position in the league. So obviously, they are in a title race. They want to win the trophy, and they are just behind Barcelona, who happens to be in first place. But this time around, we have Real Madrid going away to face Celta Vigo. Celta Vigo happens to be in sixth position on the table. Now, this is a game between second and sixth, but there is something on the line because the second position wants to fight and win the league. Sixth position already knows at this point in the season, with basically about 9 games to go in the league, those in sixth position knows I'm not fighting to win the league, but they are still fighting to get into the top 4. Because when you get into the top 4, here is the benefit. You would now qualify for what we call the Champions League. Now, aside from the World Cup, the next biggest footballing competition is the Champions League. And when Champions League is involved, you are picking teams from the major leagues in Europe. Now, we are talking of Celta Vigo over there in Spain. We already know it's going to be a tough game. You know it's going to be an interesting game. In fact, a game like this, you can always bet on it to have a whole lot of goals. But that is where research comes in, because if you do your research, if you know about the game, you will understand that despite the fact that Real Madrid is in second position, they are also struggling right now. Part of their struggle has to do with injuries. Their highest goal scorer for the season, that is Kylian Mbappe, has missed a couple of games for them. They are having a couple of defensive issues, like they are switching players in defense. Today they play Trent Alexander-Arnold. He's one of their new signing that is supposed to be the best right back in the world. but he has stepped in and he has been struggling. Now in the midfield, they're also missing Jude Bellingham, who just had a surgery because of his shoulder. So with all of this coming in, you know that yes, we know that Real Madrid is the bigger team here, but it brings so much into jeopardy because you don't know who you are going to place it on to have a higher chances of winning. Of course, that is one of the things that will make easier here in SportsBet Extra. So that's the game to look forward to, a Celta Vigo game. One other game that we look forward to, if you move over from Celta Vigo's game in Spain, I'll now highlight a game in Germany. Now, in Germany, we have a game between Bayern Munich and Borussia Mönchengladbach. This game is happening tomorrow. So it's happening very early tomorrow. Funny enough, Bayern Munich is at the top of the table and they are sitting very comfortably at the top because the next in line is Bayern Munich is 11 points ahead of them. So with 11 points ahead of them, now they are facing off a Borussia Mönchengladbach that is in 12th position. 12th position. So if you look at it just like that, you know that okay, perhaps Bayern Munich is doing something right. But part of what they are doing right is that in world football now, they have one of the most attacking front three in football. They have Harry Kane, one of the best strikers in the world. They have wingers like Luis Diaz, and then they have Michael Olise in attack for them. They are scoring goals for fun, and they have been dominating that particular league for a very, very long time. So very easily, you know that okay, things are looking to be in favor of Bayern Munich on this one. But then, if you look very deeply into it, you understand that oh, Bayern Munich could have what seems like an easy game, but after the game tomorrow, they have a very tough game coming up in the Champions League, and that is coming in next 3 or 4 days, which is surely going to be a tougher game. So a whole lot of these things come into play. If you are looking at a game like that, you are very sure that there is going to be a whole lot of games and a whole lot of goals in it. Bayern Munich in their last game, 5 goals were scored. 5 goals. I mean, when it comes to soccer or football, you know that it is very common to see a lot of games where there is just 1 goal or 2 goals. But for them to score five, yeah, they are doing something right. And from there, we move over from Spain, from Germany. Remember, we've touched Spain, we've touched Germany. Now let's come over to England. This particular weekend, when it comes to the English Premier League, we mostly see games in the weekend. But once in a while, like this particular moment, we don't have any Premier League game this weekend. But despite not having a Premier League game, we have a cup fixture. So in that cup game is where you have a Wolves coming up against Liverpool. Now, currently, this is something that happens very strangely in football because each team play each other twice in a season. But for this particular fixture, Wolves is already in 20th position. Liverpool is somewhere around the fourth, fifth, or sixth position because they are trying to secure the top five position in the league. But for Wolves, they are in 20th position. 20th is the bottom of the table. So at the moment, Wolves are sure that they are not going to be in the Premier League next season because they are surely going to be relegated to a lower division. But for this particular moment, when you look at these two teams, you would think, well, Liverpool is at the top, Wolves is at the bottom. But Wolves just played Liverpool on Tuesday. That was like 2, 3 days ago. And can you believe that Wolves picked up the win? Wolves picked up the win, and that's what we call an upset in football. It doesn't happen very often, but when it happens, it becomes very surprising. So for a game like this, you are very sure that, okay, they are coming up to meet each other again just within 4 or 5 days interval. Looking at it and saying, this person is going to win, this other person is going to win, is a very risky thing to put money on. It is very risky. And that is where it becomes easier to tweak with a whole lot of other options. We have a double chance. Like when it comes to football, we have those double chance opportunities. We have the option of who is to qualify, who is to step into the next stage. like we said, at the end of the video, coming to the end of it, we are going to pick one of these games and give you a play on it. But for the full package, for the whole lot of games that we've mentioned here, you will get the full package on it on our website. So let's quickly move from the Wolves game to a game in Saudi Arabia. A game in Saudi Arabia. I mean, Saudi Arabia currently, a couple of years ago, they were not a top footballing country. But in recent years, they are beginning to grow. In the same manner, the MLS is growing. If you go to Africa, you see like there so many footballing leagues are growing, and with World Cup coming around the corner, a lot more are going to grow. So in the Saudi league, we have a very interesting fixture. That's again between Al Hilal. Al Hilal is in third position in the league, and they are fighting against Al Najma, who is basically at the bottom of the league. One thing we know about here is that in this league, there is always guarantees of goals. Guarantees, like it is guaranteed. A good example is the fact that Al Hilal have already played 24 games this season and they are still unbeaten. They are yet to pick up any loss. But when you look at the opponents they are facing, Al Najma have only picked up one win out of 24 games. Is not really balanced. But these things are the things that we see in football. We see it very often when that imbalance exists. And that is always an opportunity for the bigger team to grab a whole lot of points from the lesser team. So we move over to the next game. I mean, I'm just been saying next game, next game. But the next game is also a game from Germany where we have Cologne coming up against Borussia Dortmund. A very interesting game. In Germany, there is always that guarantee of goals. And for Borussia Dortmund should be challenging for the title. They are in second position, challenging for the title. And then they have Cologne, who is nowhere near that position. But the problem is that Borussia Dortmund, despite sitting in second position, are still 11 points behind the team in first position. But one thing that is guaranteed or almost guaranteed in this league is that they always score. Cologne find it very hard to keep clean sheet. Borussia Dortmund also find it very hard to keep a clean sheet. But it's just a game where you know that, oh, who is going to outscore each other? Whoever ends up outscoring each other usually ends up with the winner. So I will just mention all the other games we have, and then we'll just give you the play for one of the games. We have Mansfield is playing Arsenal. That's in the FA Cup, a very unbalanced game because Arsenal is in the Premier League, whereas Mansfield is playing in League One. That is like 3 divisions between the two of them. So Arsenal is playing at the top. Mansfield is playing like lower division. You know what to expect in those games. Then you have a game between Wrexham and Chelsea. I think Hollywood people are going to enjoy this game. This is a very big game because anyone that knows about Wrexham or knows about Hollywood or even about Ryan Reynolds bought a football club a couple of years ago. That football club has been doing very well. They've been gaining promotion. They've gained back-to-back promotions. That's 3 promotions in a row. And that's the very first time it's happening in history. Now, this same Wrexham is going to face Chelsea on Saturday. It's going to be an interesting game. The build-up to the game is already very chaotic. Now, what do we expect to happen in the game? You are going to see all about that in our website. Then the last 2 games we have on our list is what we call in football a derby game. That's a game between AC Milan and Inter Milan. Now, the reason why it is a derby game is because these 2 clubs exist in the same city. Both teams are in Milan and they are going to face off each other. Now, Inter Milan is at the top of the table. AC Milan is second in line. It's going to be chaotic. It's going to be dramatic. Like so much is going to happen in that game, and we are all looking forward to it. That particular game is coming up on Sunday. Then the last game on the list is the game between DC United and Inter Miami. That's taken from the MLS. And MLS season is just starting. Only 2 games have been played. Inter Miami, who happens to be the cup champion of the MLS, They had a tough start to the season. In their first game, they lost 3-0, but they managed to find their feet in the second game by picking up 4-2 win. Now, if you talk of DC United, in their first two games, they've picked up one win and one loss. The win they picked up is 1-0 win. The loss they picked up is 1-0 loss. So it is a game between a team that is very attacking minded, that's Inter Miami, versus a team that is solid defensively. How is it going to turn out? How will it work out? That's the big question. And that's where there is money to be made. So that's the games we have for you. More details about them and their plays is on the website. But then let's pick one game and give you a play on them. You can easily pick any game. I mean, let me go to the derby game. The derby game is the game between AC Milan and Inter Milan. One thing we know about the Italian league, it is the opposite of the German league in terms of goal scoring. When you are coming to the German league, you are expecting loads and loads of goals. When it comes to Italian league, they are solid defensively. They are very solid defensively. So you don't get to see a lot of goals there. And that is why the safest pick we can think of here, the safest pick that makes the most sense is okay, plus considering the fact that both sides are also challenging for the title. So it's one of those games in football where they start and this team is expecting this team, oh, come and attack, make a mistake, we'll counter attack. The other team is expecting the other team to come and attack. So they will just be watching each other, respecting each other until things start getting late. And that is why the safest pick here is look at it as the first 10 minutes draw. You can think of 10 minutes draw or 15 minutes draw. Like if you decide to play a risky hand or take a lot more risk, you can push it to 15 minutes draw. If you don't want to go that far, look at it as 10 minutes draw. In the recent games, most of the goals that we have scored started in the second half or in the 30-something minutes. That's why going for something like 10 minutes draw, 15 minutes draw is almost because we know what this game is all about, but it is almost a guaranteed one. And with that, I think that's where we're wrapping it for now. Paul, thank you so much.
Hey, Casey, I appreciate it, man. I did not even think that you were going first 10 minutes draw. I'm going to have to look at that myself and see if I can just go in and bet that. So appreciate it. Thank you for joining, Casey. Guys, Casey will be here every Thursday, 6 Eastern, 5 Central, joining to talk soccer. So, you know, if you're into soccer, this is going to be the spot, and he's going to give you great information on plays over the weekend and what's coming up. The football mind that he's got is well beyond what mine will ever be. So I'm not even going to try. I'm just going to go ahead and tell what he says. So, Casey, appreciate it again. Thank you for joining. I will see everyone on Monday. Again, Boston -1.5, tipping off in 20 minutes. Thank you, guys. See you on Monday.